What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush episode review. Today, guys, we are going to be discussing episode 10 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. Very excited to be discussing this episode with you guys, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, generally speaking, what were my thoughts on episode 10 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush? I really enjoyed the episode. Me, personally, I thought this was easily the best episode of the show because we got a lot of plot in this episode, which I feel like these episodes have kind of needed that for a little bit because obviously, you know, we've been through all of the tutorials these last couple of episodes, and because of this whole TV programming thing that we've been a part of, you know, we haven't really seen too much of the plot, but in this episode, we got to see more when it comes to the plot, and I'm very excited to be discussing it with you guys. But obviously, we got to start off at the beginning of this episode, where basically we were left off where Chubutaro had broken into the building and now wants to challenge Yugioh to a duel. And at first, you know, Manya says, you know, that's not going to happen. We're obviously in the middle of the TV broadcast right now, and the final matchup that's supposed to be happening, or at least for Manya's team, is London is supposed to be the one to duel. And obviously, you know, she couldn't find where London was. You know, she was wondering where the heck he was, and Chubutaro basically says, yeah, you know, I kind of thought this was going to happen, so I basically took care of London, and, you know, if anyone tries to stop me, then I'm basically going to hurt you, because... Or at least that's what he basically said, but it doesn't really matter because Yugioh does accept this challenge. He goes into his Yugioh's river form, and he's ready to duel against Chubutaro, and obviously you have everyone in the crowd that's so confused of what's going on right now, but just like the last couple of episodes, they're basically playing this off as, oh, this is just TV and special effects, and Manya's reaction to Yugioh actually being an alien was pretty hilarious in my opinion, because obviously she has Bochi, who is an alien, and she was pretty surprised to see, oh, there's an alien in the building, which then Yuumu points out, but you have Bochi, he's an alien, like, what in the hell are you actually talking about? So, I thought that was pretty funny there, but we get prepared for the duel, and before the duel even starts, Yugioh notices that something is a little off here, because obviously, you know, Chubutaro is acting a little weird, but there's just this aura around him that's just a little different. And yeah, you know, obviously he's been evil from the very beginning, especially like you remember back from episode 3, but obviously something is a little off when it comes to this, and this is why actually Yugioh decided to duel against Chubutaro, because he wants to figure out, you know, what the hell is actually going on and why Chubutaro wants to duel against him, and he wants to kind of figure out what this weird sense that he's having with Chubutaro. So they get prepared for the duel. You know, at first, you know, everything seemed normal. You have, you know, Chubutaro trying to get to Mii-chan but failing. You have Yugioh who just goes into his normal plays, and, you know, he's able to deal some pretty solid damage to Chubutaro. He goes into his turn, and Chubutaro, after using some card effects, was actually able to get Mii-chan to his hand. And throughout the duel, you know, everyone was still kind of questioning, you know, they started to kind of notice that, yeah, something is off with Chubutaro, especially since Yuumu pointed out, I'm pretty sure, that, you know, Chubutaro's dual disc was actually glowing, which was very weird, and, you know, Yugi starts to kind of get a bad feeling about this, and you can kind of see that he's not really feeling too well, which, if you guys remember back from a couple of episodes, then you probably know where this is going, because after Chubutaro summons Mii-chan, this is where we get the reveal of what's actually going on, because obviously the big question is, you know, what is this weird feeling that they've been getting with Chubutaro? Well, that feeling was of the Earthamar, because yes, Chubutaro actually has the Earthamar with him, or a little bit of the Earthamar. Yugioh still actually has the Earthamar with him, but from what it seems like, Yugioh actually basically manipulated Chubutaro to actually give him some of the Earthamar to actually test out for him, and basically promised, you know, if you use this Earthamar, you're going to be able to basically physically touch Mii-chan, you know, she's going to become real. And that was the biggest aspect when it came to this episode, is that apparently the Earthamar can create real monsters. They can take these dual monster cards, which are basically, solid vision, and basically make them real, which is very, very bad when it's in the wrong hands. And remember, Yugioh is the one that has this Earthamar right now. So the fact that Yugioh has the capability of making monsters real is insane and extremely dangerous, and we actually get to see that as the episode progresses, because first off, after Chupataro summons Mii-chan, you can start to notice that the Earthamar has had a toll on him, and not just Chupataro, but Yuki as well, because he starts to kind of get sick from seeing the Earthamar, which I do think is a very interesting aspect when it comes to Yuki's connection with the Earthamar, that every time he even sees a little bit of the Earthamar, because I thought at first like it was him seeing the entirety of the Earthamar, and that's why he was getting sick, or at least he got as sick as he did from, I think it was like episode 6. But now we see this, and just a little bit of this Earthamar is even getting Yuhi sick. And, obviously Yumu starts to worry about him a little bit. Yuhi is just trying to play it off, he's fine and everything. And obviously, Chupataro is not, because he is just completely out of it. It looks like the energy was literally drained out of him, and after Mii-chan knocks him out once again, she basically takes his dual disc and challenges Yugioh, because apparently she thought he was some sort of villain trying to basically destroy her cottage, and obviously she's going to deal with them because she thinks she's this villain, or she thinks that one of the monsters that Yugioh is using is this villain. So that's why Mii-chan ends up dueling against Yugioh, and this is where we get to see that this Earthamar is dangerous, because not only does the solid vision become real, the damage that is dealt becomes real, because when Mii-chan goes into her turn and is able to destroy Yugioh's entire field and basically causes a direct attack to Yugioh actually feels the damage. I mean, he gets flown back into the wall, destroys the wall, and then a bunch of TV sets fly into him as well, and basically buries him in it. And yeah, that's very, very dangerous. And think about this. This is just a little bit of the Earthamar that can do this. Basically, this Earthamar, or at least what it tells me, this Earthamar can basically create an army of, real life monsters. And obviously, if this gets released into the real life world, or he takes this back to Velgear, like, people are dying, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There are going to be people who are dying, which I'm just gonna say this right here and right now. I absolutely love the darker twist that we're seeing, and this more like, real life damage is being dealt to Yugioh and just, our main cast in general, because more than likely at some point our main crew members are going to have to deal with the Earthamar at some point, and is going to have to feel the damage from the Earthamar, which is going to be very interesting, because throughout this show they've been basically showing off of how strong these aliens are, from their strength to their basically resistances to the cold and to the heat, so something like this, it's not going to really affect the aliens too much, even though Yugioh, who basically took the damage, looked like he was completely out of it, or like he was just struggling to get out of the wreckage. And even it concerns Yuki and Yumu a little bit, to where the point where they were actually going to try and interfere with the match, until Yugioh basically tells them to stop. That's cheating, you can't do that. But obviously they're trying to convince them that no, this is what's going to happen, because Mii-chan is basically cheating, because you're not supposed to actually deal real life damage. But Yugioh says, in honestly a very great line in my opinion, where basically he says, just because Mii-chan is cheating does not mean I can cheat, which I actually really do like that, because that is true. Just because someone else is cheating doesn't mean it gives you the right to cheat, because that just doesn't make you a better person. And that's the one thing I will say, though, that I really did have respect for Yugioh for, because yeah, Mii-chan is cheating, but he's not going to let that take him down. He's not going to stoop to her level and basically cheat himself himself, so he's going to fight the way that rush duels are intended. So you gotta have to have some respect for him. But going back to my point earlier, obviously Yuhi and Yumu are gonna have to deal with this Earthamar themselves, and the concern that I kind of have is that are they gonna even be able to withstand this? I mean, just from Meek-chan alone, we saw how much damage that was dealt to Udius, so who knows what's going to happen if Yuumu, Yuhi, Manya, Manabu, like, we don't know what's going to happen to them if they actually take the assault from something like this. So, yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see the least of, how impactful this Earthamar is going to be and how dangerous the Earthamar is going to be, because right now, this Earthamar is extremely dangerous, and as soon as possible, they need to get this Earthamar off of Yugioh, because if Yugioh controls this and he decides, you know what, I'm going to rule over Earth, humanity is going to be in trouble. So yeah, basically now we're at a focus to where after Udius has to deal with this duel, they basically have to try and find a way to not only find Yugioh, but get the Earthamar off of him before things get out of hand. But obviously the first thing that they have to deal with is Meek-chan. So basically Udius goes into his turn, he's able to get his Galactic Oblivion as well as his, I believe it's called Galactic Asylum, no it's not Asylum, it's Amnesia I believe is what the name of it was. He was able to get his new tribute monster onto the field. I wouldn't really consider it an ace monster. I guess you could consider it one of his new ace monsters. I don't know, it's a 1 tribute monster, so I don't really know if that is considerable to be an ace monster. Well, I guess to be fair, there's a level 4 monster that's being considered an ace monster, so what the hell, it's a new ace monster of Udius's, and he was able to use these 2 monsters to be able to defeat Meek-chan, and because the duel is now concluded, Meek-chan now disappears. So they were able to deal with this first batch of Earthamar, and after the whole situation had ended, Chupataro was basically stretchered out of the area because he basically got knocked out. Like, he was in deep trouble. Like, he basically almost looked like he was dead at one point. Obviously, he doesn't die, but man, he was not in the best shape at all. And that's another thing to kind of think about as well, is that for the people who use this Earthamar, they can end up turning up like what happened with Chupataro. Like, boy, oh boy, like, this is going to be very fascinating to say the least. And although it was great to learn more about what the Earthamar can do, obviously, this thing still has big questions as, okay, we know that it can actually make monsters real, but what else can it do? Like, and why does it affect people, like how Chupataro ended up basically having to take all of his energy to basically create Meek-chan? Is there a way that you can stop that from happening, or is this going to basically happen to anyone that uses this? Is this going to happen to Yugioh, which I would actually not really mind if that was the case, because I think you can kind of show the ideology that he's willing to do anything necessary to basically end this war. Whether it kills him, he is basically going to eliminate his enemies. So I think that would be a very fascinating concept that they kind of do that, but more than likely what's going to happen is that Yugioh, after this test experiment, because that's basically what this was, he basically manipulated Chupataro to basically use this Earthamar as a test to kind of see, what the power of the Earthamar can actually do. So you gotta have to feel bad for Chupataro from that perspective, because he was basically used as a guinea pig in this episode, which, not saying he doesn't deserve this, but, he is a little annoying, and he's going to be out of the show for a little bit to kind of recover. So, yeah, you do gotta feel bad for the guy a little bit, because, even though, yeah, he's annoying, he doesn't deserve this. I mean, all he wanted to do was to see Meek-chan, and basically, Yugioh used that to his advantage and made Chupataro a guinea pig. So, yeah, Yugioh has to be stopped as soon as possible, and it's gonna be very interesting to see, how they're gonna deal with this situation, because not only do they need to try to find a way to stop the Earthamar, but they also have to find Yugioh, because no one knows where the the hell he's at. So obviously that's a big question that they have to figure out as well is, where could he be? He could be anywhere in Mudsplit Town right now. So it's going to be a very interesting next few episodes for Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, and boy oh boy, I'm very excited to see what's next for the Earthamar, and I'm very excited to see what's next for Udius in the group and how they're gonna basically react to this whole situation that happened with the Earthamar, and basically seeing them try to figure out, how they're going to deal with this and how they're going to be able to deal with Yugioh, who has the power of the Earthamar. So this is going to be a very interesting next couple of episodes. But guys, with that being said, that is going to be it for this Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush episode review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts on episode 10 of Go Rush. Did you like the episode? Did you think the episode was okay? Or were you not the biggest fan of this episode at all? And let me know your guys' thoughts on Udius versus Chupataro slash, Meek-chan. And let me know your guys' thoughts on the Earthamar, what are your guys' thoughts on the Earthamar being able to create these real-life monsters? And let me know your guys' predictions of what you think the Earthamar could potentially do. Like, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on what this Earthamar can actually do down in the comments. But with that being said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.